They can be a path to revival. I believe the farm can help you see that.
It's time to really meet Edgar Evernever, and can Jughead take down Gladys Jones? Let's break down Season 3, Episode 17 of Riverdale and find out just what happened. What is happening, Riverdale fam? Lisa here for this week's Riverdale recap. So this week's episode is titled The Master, mainly because we finally get FaceTime with our cult leader, Edgar Evernever. And I have to say, Chad Michael Murray, he's aged pretty well, and I can see why it would be easy for people to fall under his charm just by looking in those eyes and that smile. But you really expect me to believe that Evelyn is his daughter? I mean, yes, it's technically possible if Evelyn's 17 because real life Chad's 37, but he still looks young. And I guess he could have had a child when he was like 16 to 20, but still, I'm not buying it totally. You could also argue that the episode is titled The Master because of the battle between Gladys and Jughead, and also kind of between Hiram and Hermione. So, let's just go ahead and dive into this episode and find out what it's all about. First up, let's talk about our Lodge family drama. Veronica still isn't grasping the fact that her parents are divorcing, since she was raised to think family is the most important thing in the world, and they're pretty much breaking that. So when Veronica comes home and finds Hermione upset because Hiram has pretty much not invited her to the ribbon cutting ceremony for his new prison, but Governor Dooley is invited, Hermione is now freaking out, worried that their enemies will realize that she is no longer with Hiram or under his protection. Because of the moves that she's made in the past, she fears that she is in danger. And yeah, pretty much ex-mob wives usually disappear. So Veronica decides to try again to make Hiram and Hermione rethink their decision and even ask them to go to a marriage counselor. But essentially, no matter what argument Veronica makes, Hiram says that ship has sailed. We then see Hermione walk into the office, and on the desk is a package that contains dead fish because, well, in mob speak, someone wants her sleeping with the fishies, aka dead. And Hermione freaks out and confides in Veronica. So Veronica goes and confronts Hiram, accusing him of sending these dead fish, but Hiram denies it. And Veronica says that, well, somebody's trying to kill Hermione, so you have to protect her. And she begs him to not get a divorce or shun her in public. So then we end up seeing Veronica get her way a little bit. Hiram is giving his speech at the ribbon cutting ceremony for the opening of the prison, and he has Veronica and Hermione by his side, and he pretends to say nice things about Hermione through his teeth. Veronica, though, hasn't fully gotten her way because when she returns home, Hiram has a surprise for her. He talked to the Monsignor and got the marriage annulled, so it's less public. Hermione would still be under his protection, but in the eyes of God and the church, the marriage never existed. Now, Veronica is still hurt and is like, this is not what I wanted, but you know what? It's kind of what she's going to get because, surprise, Hiram has actually figured out that Veronica is the one that sent Hermione those dead fish to try to, persuade Hiram into protecting Hermione. And, well, Veronica fesses up to it and says she was just trying to get them to at least pretend to be together and hoped that, if they had done that for long enough, they'd finally start to feel the real thing again and she'd get her family back. But she finally realizes that no matter what she does, it's just never gonna happen. As for Archie, he gets a call from Mad Dog and goes to see him at the L&L prison, where Mad Dog informs him that he and the rest of the juveniles are now being sent to fill the cells at Hiram's new prison, which means that the parole hearings out of the blue got canceled and they know they're gonna have to participate in those illegal fighting rings again. So Mad Dog is asking Archie for help. Archie then calls on Veronica for help, and she tricks Governor Dooley into meeting with Archie, and they tell the governor that he has to pardon Mad Dog and the others like Baby Teeth, otherwise Archie will expose the illegal fighting rings to the media. Archie ends up getting his way, and Mad Dog, Baby Teeth, and the others are free, and Archie gives them a place to stay at the gym for now. But their little party is interrupted by that slimy Elio who comes to check out the fighters and tries to tempt them, saying that if they're looking for a real boxing manager, maybe some money to come see him. Mad Dog then goes to find his family and informs Archie that his grandma and little brother are living in a crap hole of an apartment building that's been taken over by the Gargoyles, where it seems like they are cooking up the drugs. That is where their lab is. And now we gotta pause and catch you up with Jughead and his journey with the serpents to take down this gargoyles. So we start the episode with Jughead and the serpents doing FP and Tom Keller's training exercises, but FP thinks they're not really working as a team and aren't ready to be out in the field. Jughead, of course, thinks otherwise. When FP informs the family that their old trailer was found burned up with the drug stuff in it, well, the war is really on between Gladys and Jughead.
And here's a tip. Don't cross me again.
Now Jughead is determined to dismantle the gargoyles piece by piece, drive them out of town, especially Kurtz, who apparently is the drug cook in all of this. And he tells the serpents they're going to be the unofficial DEA of the town. So they end up going to visit all the gargoyle hotspots to try to find out where the gargoyles are selling these fizzle rocks. And they find out that gargoyles are doing it the old school way, on street corners, and letting people know where they're going to be by putting gargoyles hanging on wires instead of sneakers, hanging on wires. So the serpents start busting these gargoyles at every spot, and the last one though, it goes wrong because they end up messing up FP's undercover bust, which causes Jughead to get quite the tongue lashing from FP. And now FP has really had it, up to his limits with Jughead and the serpents going against everything that FP has said. And now FP's kind of starting to side with Gladys, who keeps saying, oh, maybe the serpents aren't ready for this deputy program. So FP is like, if he hears the serpents take the law into their hands again, he'll throw them all in jail. And Gladys is right there smiling and gloating at Jughead. Now when Archie hears about the apartment building with the gargoyles, he relays that information to Jughead. So Archie and Jughead then go to see if the serpents are up for breaking a little rules, and of course Mad Dog and the others are in as well. So they go against FP and decide to take down that building. And they raid it and are very surprised to see that the gargoyles are now armed with guns, and Jughead is able to capture Kurtz, but you see, Kurtz has other ideas.
I'm ready to ascend. Are you?
Yeah, thank goodness Jughead survived that, but honestly, I really don't know how they were both unharmed. That was quite a fall. Anyway, unfortunately, Kurtz ends up getting away. Now, back at the gym, Mad Dog tells Archie that Baby Teeth is still missing and that he ended up going to Elio for help to get his family out of that building. So he's going to be fighting for Elio, and in return, he got a house on the north side. Later, Archie and Jughead find a trophy with some teeth inside it and a quest card that says, defang a wolf cub, and they realize that that must be the teeth of Baby Teeth. And now we're kind of wondering if that kid is still alive. Well, we end up seeing FP go into a clearing where a hiker called in something mysterious, and we see that same kind of sacrifice place where the gargoyle head is hanging up there, and yeah, bent over with carvings on his back of the symbols and a bloody mouth and teeth missing, and I'm guessing not alive, is Baby Teeth. And we also have Jughead telling Gladys that she may have been a step ahead, and he knows she's now playing dirty with the guns, but he's never gonna let that happen. But whatever's happening here with Baby Teeth, is this the doing of Gladys? Is this the doing of Kurtz? Is this the doing of a copycat killer? No matter what, this is definitely sending a message to Jughead, and this war is getting intense, man. Lastly, let's talk about the farm. So they're having an open house, so Betty and Veronica go check it out, and Betty ends up doing a little interview with Evelyn, which is supposed to be for those interested in joining the farm, so Evelyn knows that Betty's not really here for, pure purposes. She's there to investigate. Betty then hatches a plan. She's noticed that Evelyn has expressed interest in Cheryl, so Betty gets Cheryl to go undercover for her and sends her to the farm with a hidden microphone in her brooch. But when Cheryl sits down for her interview with Evelyn, she gets quite the surprise. Edgar comes in to conduct the interview, and he gets Cheryl to kind of open up about Jason and her frozen river situation and all this kind of stuff she's been holding on to, and we kind of get the inkling that, oh no, is Cheryl starting to go to the dark side? Well, the next day at school, Betty gives Cheryl a bunch of questions she wants Cheryl to ask Edgar because she knows the interviews are recorded, and she wants to find out where those tapes are so she can steal Alice and Polly's back so the farm has nothing on her family anymore. So Cheryl goes once again to meet with Edgar and starts asking Betty's questions, but unfortunately not in a very subtle way, so it's not very hard for Edgar to be like, yeah, something is up here. But he tells her that there are copies of the tapes kept in a storeroom on site. Then Edgar tells Cheryl he wants to take her somewhere, and they start heading out, and in the hallway the reception starts going in and out, but Betty does hear Edgar say, here's where the files are in this room. It looks like a broom closet. Betty immediately knows that it's room 317, which she's passed multiple times. I'm pretty sure it's also the room she hid in when she was in Sisters of Quiet Mercy's spying on the nuns and their little gargoyle lair. The room that actually has no little window, but somehow she was able to look out the little window. Anyway, Edgar then takes Cheryl to a room, and Cheryl is like, what happens in here? But then the feed starts to cut out, and Betty only really hears weird noises. She doesn't get to hear the rest of it, so now she's really curious. But Betty ends up sneaking into Sisters of Quiet Mercy during another open house and steals back Alice and Polly's tapes, and she even takes Cheryl's and goes to see Cheryl to give them to her to say, okay, you don't have to go back for me now, we got what we needed, you're free. But the problem is, Cheryl wants to go back to the farm. She likes talking to Eddie, and she opens up about what she saw in that mysterious room. She says that Edgar took Cheryl to talk to Jason, and that she got to talk to Jason supposedly in the flesh, and the farm gave her her brother back. So now she's planning on going back. And Betty starts to think, and now she maybe realizes what's going on with Alice. So she calls Alice and meets her at Pop's, and Betty asks Alice if the reason that Alice is obsessed with the farm is because they let her talk to Charles. And Alice actually says yes, and begins to open up about what it's like to have her, son back, and how, Betty would like him, and all of this crazy stuff. Betty's like, can I meet him? And Alice thinks that she means Charles, but Betty says no, she wants to meet Edgar. So then we see Betty and Edgar sitting again in that interview room, and he knows that she took the tapes and lets her know that he has copies off-site elsewhere. And then he asks what Betty really wants to know, and Betty just says, everything, start at the beginning. So I can't wait to hear whatever he is about to say, how he is gonna pitch his start in the farm and all of this. But that pretty much ends the main events of this week's Riverdale episode. So Gladys and Jughead still in this all-out war, but now it seems like Gladys is getting more of her way with FP, turning against the serpents and Jughead. So we'll see how that goes. Betty's also hoping to get, obviously, some answers from Edgar, but we know he is a charmer with his talking, so will he somehow end up persuading Betty to maybe come to the dark side? I don't know. Also, how the heck are these people even getting to see their lost loved ones? Are there, people with masks? Are they getting drugged and hallucinating? It just seems all kinds of creepy. I don't know. That's what I kind of want to see, is what is in that room. As for the Lodge family, it seems like I don't really know what's going to go on with them from here on out. We'll have to wait and see with that. And Archie maybe facing off with Elio, I'm guessing. But let's go ahead and look at the promo for the next episode that, unfortunately, we got to wait a little while for. It airs April 17th.
This might be a copycat killer.
Tomorrow when we fight for him.
You're a daughter who wants her mother back. No matter what happens, I'm always in your corner.
Get your hands up! Get them up!
She needs to heal.
How can I trust you? You lied to me! I will kill you.
All right, so it seems like everybody's starting to come back because, Joaquin's little brother is in that promo, and all I really, though, want to see is this Betty versus Evelyn showdown. I'm ready to see Betty kick some butt, man. But yeah, I'm curious to see what you think about this episode, and where do you think this season is going, and what'll happen by finale by the time that comes in, I'm guessing a few weeks or so, a month, something like that. Do you think we have a copycat killer on our hands? What really is the point of this whole farm situation? Can we somehow just get all of this crime and crap out of Riverdale and turn it back into maybe this regular high school drama with a little dark twist, but not as weird and dark as it is turned? I don't know, but sound off in the comments. Let me know all your thoughts and theories about this episode and what you hope is ahead. Let me know, and after that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell if you haven't already, and check out more of my videos and interviews right over here. Yeah, that's all I got for you for this week on my Riverdale recap. My name is Lisa. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time.